Hey, this is Jason with 4W Knives. I have two 60-layer billets of Damascus that I am going to turn into a kitchen knife set. Kitchen knife set in my eyes will be a chef knife and a paring knife. I am doing this as a donation to our ag department at our school. They do an Aggie auction every year to raise funds, and they're going to be auctioning this one off. I don't do a lot of forging on this. I've got two billets running. You will see me doing some hammer work on one of them, and the object there was just to narrow it so I didn't have a lot of waste whenever I cut it out. So once I get these thinned down, it's all about stock removal after that. It's pain in the butt to try to forge something that thin. So I narrow this down. I end up using the leftover pieces to make a couple of divot tools, which I've done a video on that. So the forging really is just a setup for the stock removal. I used the roller mill, as you can see before, and just a little bit of hammer work just to eliminate some of the waste. On a side note, make sure you stay till later on in the video. I'm going to also show how I make my knife blocks. Just one way to help bring a little bit more value to the work, and it's really not that hard. So I want to show you my process in addition to that. So a little bonus video at the end. Since both of these blades are so thin, I decided that it's probably best to go ahead and wait to do all my bevel grinding until after the heat treat. This will just help eliminate or lessen the chance of getting a warp. Another quick tip on how to avoid getting a warp in your blade is to set up two pieces of angle iron and use the vise. Place those in it right after you quench it. I am so close to getting the funds ready for a surface grinder, but until then, the flat platen it is. Okay, once I get finished with my surface grinding, I mark the edge so I can find a center line and give any other guides that I need in grinding out my bevels. All right, I got the bevels done, so I went ahead and put the scales on off camera. So now I'm just going to clean them up and get them shaped so where they're comfortable in the hand. I really like the way these 1-inch scallop belts shape these handles. I always start off with a 220 And then I've got a 400, and they do a 600. I have not tried it, but I'm thinking I'm going to try that just to cut down on a little bit of hand sanding. These scales are called russet, and they're from Jan's, is where I purchased them. They are some type of acrylic, at least that's what I believe they are. And like a lot of acrylics, once you get them buffed, they usually shine and look pretty good. All right, so here we are. I have 4 pieces of cedar. They are 8 inches long, 5 inches wide, and they have all been planed. I have done some pre-marking on them, as you can see, just so I can keep the wood in the order that I want. Got it top outside number 1, inside number 1, so I know those 2 pieces will go together. And I've got number 2 on the other 2 sides. I've measured down 2 inches from the top on both pieces. The routering will start right here, so the knife will essentially slide in this area, and it'll be the same for both knives. That should make sense here in a little bit. I have made sure I put the arrow so I know this is the side that I want to router. This is the side, so the knives will sit in the block evenly. Again, hopefully some of this makes sense as we go. All right, so I will take the first one. I will lay my knife down like so, making sure it's as straight as possible. And it will be simply just tracing it. Like so. Appears I've missed my arrow a little bit, but that's okay because I will go outside of that just a little bit anyways. The way I've done it is I like it to be a snug fit, but not too tight. Whenever I do all my sanding, I will have to sand off quite a bit of this, so I will actually come down a little further than what the actual knife is. So this again does not have to be perfect. It just needs to be able to fit inside. I'll do the same thing to the other side. So I've made sure that the depth of my router bit is just a little bit more than the thickness of the blades. And then I just stay within the lines that we traced out. If you do not have a router, a wood chisel would do the trick. If you don't have a wood chisel, I do have a video on how to make one. You can check it out. I could always use a few more views. But honestly, the router does make quick work of this. There's a lot of other ways to make these knife blocks. This is just the one that made the most sense to me with the tools that I have and the time that I have to do it. So hopefully this all helps you, and maybe someday you can make your own. All right, so now we got it all cut. So all we'll have to do now is glue that together. Then the knife will just slide in, and bam, you've got your knife block. All I have left to do is I'll do the same thing to the other side, glue all 4 pieces together, and then shape it, and we will have us a knife block. Well, unfortunately, the footage of me clamping this up to glue was terrible, and you couldn't see it very good. So I'll just have to tell you, clamping this was not easy. The glue made it slippery, so the boards kept sliding and were really hard to keep in line. And I don't have all the proper bar clamps that you would do, but I was able to make it work. After I've got it glued, I took it to the grinder and got it level. And then we're going to put some linseed oil on it to bring out the richness and the color of the wood. And it is all done. Thought the cedar came out really pretty. Love the handles. This russet is what it's called. Really complements the knife well. Pattern came out pretty decent, even though it's just a random. I kind of like it. These knives are going to be auctioned off, part of the Binger Oni High School Ag Department and their Aggie auction. And hopefully we were able to raise some money for their program. Well, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you may have learned something or something that you can add to your game. Stay tuned. I've got some more coming up. Hopefully they are better.